Hi South Shore, welcome back to 3rd grade online with Ms. Nazaripour. As I promised you yesterday in reading, today we will be learning even more information about the polar bear. What you'll need for this activity is your journal or whatever you've been writing your work down in and something to write with like a pencil or a pen. Get those things, come on back and we'll get started. All right, 3rd graders, what you're gonna need to do today in your journal or wherever you're taking your notes is to create a double entry journal. So in a double entry journal, on one side, we write the things we wonder, and on the other side, we write the things we learned. So what I need you to do is in your journal, write today's date, which is 5-13-20, and then I would like you on the right side to write polar bears in peril. Now, you can tell that I changed our orientation of our work from being vertical to horizontal to give you more room to write. So do that, and then write the date and the title, Polar Bears in Peril. And 3rd graders, that word peril means danger. So we're gonna read about polar bears in danger today. Once your journal looks like mine, find the center of your paper. You are going to partition this paper in halves. Usually a good way to tell the center is to find that middle circle, and then underneath it, just draw a line all the way to the bottom of the page so that it looks like that. On one side, the right side, we're going to write what we wonder. And on the other side, you are going to write what we learned. So go ahead and pause the video until your paper looks like mine and you have a double entry journal of your own. Okay, 3rd graders. So what you're gonna do today is you are going to do just what I've done the last few days. You're gonna take a look at the reading, look at the headings, and you are going to write 2 questions that you hope to get information from in this text. And you're gonna base those questions on the headings. So you're gonna turn the headings into a question. The first heading is the importance of the ice. So your first question needs to be something about ice and why it's important. Go ahead and write question 1 in your journal and phrase that question all on your own. When you're done, unpause the video and let's look at the second heading, because the second heading is going to be what your second question is about. The second heading is what zoos and you can do. So underneath where you wrote the first question, you're gonna write a 2 and write down the second question. I want these questions to be in your own words and I want you to form them around the headings. So once again, you're gonna form your first question around the heading, the importance of the ice. You're gonna form your second question around the heading, what zoos and you can do. Go ahead and pause the video until you have done that and then come back and we'll read the text together. All right, 3rd graders, in your journals you should have 2 questions. I'm going to go through and read the text. My expectation, just like we are in class, is when we are doing a shared reading, you are reading along with me. I will hold the article up to the camera so you can read it at the same time I do. You can either read it out loud or you can simply follow along with your eyes, but you do need to be reading. So the first thing I'm gonna do is read again the title, and then there's a little blurb beneath the title, and there's also a caption. So I'm gonna read that first. Polar bears in peril. Arctic sea ice is melting, making it harder for polar bears to survive in the wild. This was written by Elizabeth Winchester. The caption says, polar bear features help them survive in the Arctic. A thick layer of fat helps keep the bears warm. Anybody remember from what we've been reading what that thick layer of fat is called? That's right, blubber. Okay, so on 3, let's start reading. 1, 2, 3. The top of the world is a wintry wonderland. Icebergs float in the cold Arctic Ocean. In the deep of winter, the temperature often falls to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sun never rises. The ocean is surrounded by frozen ground. There are few people or trees, but to polar bears, the Arctic is home. Polar bears have thick fur, huge paws, and other features that make them well prepared for life in the harsh environment. In fact, they need the Arctic sea ice for survival. But climate change is causing larger and larger areas of summer sea ice to melt. Experts say that if warming patterns continue, the Arctic could be free of summer sea ice by 2050. That may cause 2/3 of the world's 20,000 polar bears to be gone by then, too. So now that you've been learning about fractions, you know that 2/3 is quite a large number. It's more than half. Global climate change may not be affecting you, but it is really affecting polar bears in the Arctic. Jeffrey Bonner, president of St. Louis Zoo in Mississippi and TFK, Time for Kids. Bonner is working with zoo and aquarium officials across the country to prevent the bears from dying out. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the importance of sea ice in this next section. What you should be doing is looking for the answer to the question that you crafted before we started reading. The goal here is definitely to find the answer to your question. So if you have not followed that portion of my instructions, go ahead and pause the video before I go any further and craft a question about the importance of sea ice. On 3, 1, 2, 3, the importance of the ice. Polar bears can't survive for long on land. Seals are their main source of food. The bears hunt for seals in openings in the sea. The polar bears need the ice to get to their prey. In summer, the polar bears that live on land eat very little and wait for the sea ice to return. With the sea ice forming later in the year and melting earlier, polar bears do not have enough opportunity to hunt and eat. Less sea ice makes it harder for the bears to catch the seals. The bears must swim longer distances between ice packs, and they can't always make it. The ice is also getting thinner. These conditions can cause polar bear cubs to become separated from their mothers, who provide them with food. So I would like for you please to go ahead and pause the video and answer that first question you wrote about the importance of sea ice. When you're done, unpause the video and we'll look for the next question. Okay, third graders, let's read this last section, what zoos and you can do. Again, the whole point of this activity is to answer those questions that you wrote, so look for an answer to your question. On 3 from the heading, 1, 2, 3, what zoos and you can do. Less ice and snow in the far north is also making the entire planet warmer. Stephen Amstrop is the chief scientist of Polar Bears International, a group that is dedicated to saving the bears and their habitat. The more people who see polar bears and understand their plight, the better the chance we'll alter our warming path in time to save them, he says. Few people have the chance to see polar bears in the wild. That's where zoos come in. The St. Louis Zoo in Missouri and the North Carolina Zoo in Asheboro both recently opened new polar bear exhibits. If you save the polar bears, you are doing something dramatic to help the environment, says Bonner. While there are obstacles to bringing polar bears into the country, Bonner and others are working to show how rescuing orphan cubs could help the species survive. Zoos would provide the cubs with a safe home. Experts would work to breed the bears and keep polar bear populations healthy. You can do your part too by protecting the environment and helping efforts to save the bear's habitat. Turn off lights and appliances and save energy in other ways. If everybody does small things, that adds up, says Bonner. And here we have an illustration along with a caption. Polar bears rely on sea ice as their base for hunting, eating, and breeding. Okay, third graders, now in your journal, go ahead and pause the video and answer your second question. So you've answered the first question, which was written here. You've written your answer over here. Then answer the second question you wrote here, over here. When you're done with your double entry journal, just like we've been doing the last 2 days, go ahead and send your teacher a picture of all your hard work. Remember, the whole point of this activity was to write 2 questions that you could answer in the text. So, what I want to see are 2 questions, each of them based on the 2 headings in the text and answers to those questions. All right, third graders, I can't wait to see the great work you've been doing today. I hope you enjoyed learning more about polar bears. I'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves.